Hey there, I'm Sharon,
And I'm Desiree.
and this is the Other What podcast. Hey Desiree, we're on to season 2, episode 2.
Hello, Sharon.
I know our fans, I mean your family, are very excited. So this is going to be great.
My dad said to tell Junior hello.
Oh, I love your dad. I love that I love my nickname, by the way. I really do love it. So thank you for that. It's great.
You're welcome.
So today we're going to talk about something kind of heavy. As usual, me and you will probably make it lighthearted, but boy, dude, this thing kicked my ass. And I wanted to talk to you about it. I literally texted you like the next day after it happened to get your feedback on it. But I wanted to do an episode around it just so that we can address it. I think it's something that we don't talk about enough.
Mm-hmm.
In just amongst everybody in the world and the population, and because it happened directly to me, I think it's something that I think we should completely address and just make sure that our listeners know that this is the shit that's happening.
Yeah.
So let me give you just a quick rundown of what happened. So I was at a neighbor's place for we do this like bonfire thing, and there's a dude there, a very nice white man. He's in the neighborhood, and I've met him before many times. And I was about to head back to my place, and he just started like asking me all these like questions, and I felt like there was some boundary. Like he was crossing some boundaries and things, and I just didn't say anything. I'm still learning how to address when somebody crosses my boundaries in the moment, but I didn't do it at the time. I was really tired. And I said something about white privilege. And oh man, this guy went off on me. Off. He started calling me a racist. I started trying to like tell him stories about how it is different for people of color.
Yeah.
For certain situations. There is something to white privilege. Oh my God, the whole time he just gaslighted me. And he just told me that everything I was saying, I was exaggerating my stories, that there's no way that could have happened. And what was really, really sad was that there were two other people watching this whole incident happen, both white, both gay, and they did nothing. And I had to extricate myself from the situation by just being like, okay, look, we'll just have to agree to disagree. See you later, bye. And just leave this guy. What really is disturbing is that this dude sees me in the neighborhood walking the dog, and he just waves to me and smiles like nothing happened.
Yeah.
It is so effing disturbing.
Yeah.
And what scares me about this, and what I think that a lot of what I took from this, one, I was obviously hurt. It was really hard to hear this. Is that I realized that the outside world, outside of our bubble of being queer, of being people of color, being in a safe space, it's not safe. And it's scary. It's really scary. So yeah, that's why I was like, holy shit, I was trying to it's taken me a while to process this. And this is why I wanted I wanted your feedback on this too. As a woman of color, you've probably been in these situations before. I've never had it be so blatant and in my face, and in a place that's like my neighborhood, right? It's not like I was like, in a random spot. Like this was supposed to be a safe space. So it's like, it's scary, dude. It was not a fun interaction at all.
Yeah, that is scary. I'm so sorry that happened to you, and it's upsetting, especially when there's other people there that you think would be on your side that don't say anything. That's a tough one, Sharon. to experience and to watch, because I think sometimes other people don't have the confidence in themselves to speak out and say, hey, that's not right. Listen to her experiences. So we have to kind of, I hate to say this, but we kind of got to give them a little grace too, because maybe they were the gentleman that confronted you. I believe you said he was straight, correct?
Yeah, straight
Yeah.
white guy.
So
Yep.
maybe they didn't feel safe enough to say anything. And I'm not taking up for them not saying anything. But I have to look at it from their side too. Maybe they just had this fear of, oh, I can't speak up to this
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, I think what I've been trying to work on the last few weeks has been like really figuring out like the empathy side, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this white straight man who attacked me was obviously attacking me out of fear.
Right.
There was something I pushed a button, and I take responsibility for saying that phrase, right? But I pushed a button and he just became a caged animal, or like an animal in a corner, and he just
Mm-hmm.
all he wanted to do was lash out at the person that was in front of him, and that was me.
Yeah.
And I get it. And I think that the like where we are right now in our political climate and everything, people are fucking scared.
Yeah.
And they're going to attack others regardless if it's right or wrong. They're going to attack. And we just have to be I have to be more careful. And I think that's what I learned a lot about this, which is sad
Mm-hmm.
because I feel so safe. Like I feel very safe with you. I feel very safe with my friends,
Yeah.
but I can't feel safe in other places. I have to have that guard up. And I think that was like a really, really hard lesson to
Yeah.
learn.
It's tough also, just hearing it as your friend and knowing, like, if I was there, how would I have reacted to somebody like saying that to you? And I can think I would do all these different things, but then you never really know until you're in that situation.
That's right. That's right. I
Um,
know. Like we've talked
yeah.
about this. Like you're like, I should have said this. I could have done this.
Oh
Why
man.
didn't I do that? And it's like you can't do anything about it. Like it's past.
Yeah.
And I, I think I think that like there was just a lot. Whew, there was so much to unpack from that. And what was funny is that right, we talked about not that's funny, but maybe ironic. Maybe that's the word. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're talking about how this season is all about transition. I was going to start a new job in like 2 weeks after that incident
Mm-hmm.
happened, and the industry that I'm in is dominated by white straight men, and I was like, fuck, like I
Yeah.
got to be careful. I forget. I know it sounds silly, but I forget that I'm a woman of color sometimes
Yeah.
around these folks, and it is different. They may not
Mm-hmm.
see it, they might not
Mm-hmm.
experience it, but we do,
Yeah.
and we see it.
Sharon,
So,
how would you define white privilege, just for maybe some listeners who have not heard that terminology?
ooh.
It's a
Okay,
good
this is just my
definition.
definition, by the way. I'm not looking up on Wikipedia or
Sharon Gill's
anything.
definition of,
Yes,
okay.
I just want to make sure that that's the caveat. To me, it's the color of your skin is the first thing that people see,
Mm-hmm.
and because of it, you are seen. You're like there's a hierarchy of like, and there's like literally people go through questions. Are they safe? Is this a
Yeah.
safe person? Right? Um, they'll think they'll look at like socioeconomic things. Does this person have are they going to be educated? Are they right? Like I think that there's something where everything that they see about your skin gives you a leg up
Mm-hmm.
in the conversation, in the situation, whatever, not because people are consciously doing it, but unconsciously they see that you are a white man,
Mm-hmm.
and that you have a higher you have a higher privilege than everybody else. You
Mm-hmm.
can do more, or you have money or whatever, and then they treat you differently
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah. That's
That's a
that's a good.
very bad definition. I don't know if it's a
No, I
good
don't think so. I
definition,
think
but
that was good. I thought about something just now when you mentioned, after we talked about it, and you think of all these things you could have said. And I think of an incident that happened when I was living in Bakersfield, California, that haunts me to this day, of me laying in bed thinking of all the shit that I should have said, but that I
mhm.
didn't. And my ex wife and I were at my ex wife's Mexican. We were at a hockey game, Bakersfield Condors, which is a minor league hockey team. My job at the time would give out tickets. And so I had tickets for myself, her brother, his wife's brother, and their daughter. And they're all Mexican, and me, who is blends in where I am. You know, most people, and especially in Bakersfield and in California, a lot of times assume that I was also Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat in the section that had tickets for my job. On the row behind us was a white man, his wife, and I think they have 4 little kids. We're all excited. We had been coming to the Condors games. This is probably like our 5th or 6th game. We sat down in our seats. It was cold that night, so I put my jacket on my seat. And the guy behind me, he like knocks, he's like, "Don't put that there. It's on my drink." And me just thinking, oh, I must have just hit his drink. I'll move it a little. I said, "Oh, excuse me. No harm, no foul." So I still put my jacket on the seat that I paid for, just slid it over so that it's not, on his cup, because the cup holders are on the back of the chair that's in front of you. He loses his shit on me, Sharon. He's like, "I told you I didn't want that shit there." And I was like stunned, number one, because I'm thinking, you are cursing at me over a jacket on the back of the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, your little kids are there watching you, because now his wife, the kids are looking at me. His wife looks at me and just is like, "I'm sorry."
Oh my God, no way.
So then
No
I have,
way.
yeah. So then I have all these things run through my head. One, I don't know if this dude works at the same place I work at, because I wasn't sure which rows we had. So what is my reaction? Do I show out and say what I want to say? Do I sit there and don't say anything? Because also you have little kids there. And that's the part that got me. I was like, I hate having to be the bigger person all the time, Sharon. I
Doesn't
hate
it?
that.
It sucks. It sucks.
I could like
Every
feel
time.
my blood boiling now. And then so
Yes.
let me finish real quick.
Okay.
So nobody in my group says anything. I don't expect them to, because their situation is different. And my brother-in-law also was dealing with cancer at the time, and we were just like trying to get out, not trying to cause any problems. My sister-in-law sees this happen, and she tells my ex, switch seats with me so that I'm away from this guy. And I sat there the whole time, kind of turned, and I was like crying because I was so fucking pissed off. And I know for me, when I get to the point where I'm sitting there crying, I wanted him to say something else to me at that point. Like I even kept looking back, like trying to agitate him to say something so that I could say all the things that I should have said the first time. And it just makes me so angry. And that was 2019. But it still like pisses me the fuck off.
Do you think that he was aggressive with you because you were a woman or a woman of color?
I think both. And I think he's just a terrible person.
Terrible person. Yeah.
You have to react like that in front of your kids. Like that's really what upset me, because then I thought, if he's yelling at me, somebody he doesn't know, what kind of fucking shit is this man doing in his house with his wife and his kids? And then I just felt so sorry for them.
Yes.
But I was still pissed the fuck off.
Oh,
the rest of the I could not even enjoy the game. I was so furious.
I got a sticker right after the incident happened. I was like, "Don't let idiots ruin your day." And like, that's literally what it is. It's like these people take it out on perfect strangers, because they don't know how to manage their fear, and it turns into anger, and then they like ruin a hockey game for you. That's like not cool.
No.
Like, not cool. And like over a stupid drink, like, I mean, I get it. We don't know what these people are going through. I totally get it. I'm trying to have the empathy for them. But it is really, really hard when they throw shade at you for doing nothing but being in their space.
And I was in my space. I was in my fucking seat.
You bought your seat. I know. I get it. That's crazy. Oh my God. And I am right there with you.
You're to a rage room.
Yeah, you're so I want to address what you said. It is so hard to be the bigger person. And I feel that a lot of the times as people of color, we have to take the high road because, again, we are seen as the instigators, right? Angry
Right.
black women,
Right.
or right,
Right.
or whatever it might be. I mean, with Asians, it's the opposite. You guys get the angry black woman stereotype. We get the
Yeah,
whole demure,
docile.
do
Yeah.
whatever, docile thing,
Mm-hmm.
and like it fucking sucks. And
Yes.
so, like, if I had spoken up, I would have broken all the stereotypes of the nice, get along with everybody, don't
Mm-hmm.
rock the boat Asian, and it just
Mm-hmm.
pisses me the fuck off. It
Yeah.
pisses me off. It really
Yeah.
does. Okay, so we're gonna the next segment is gonna get a little tougher. We're gonna talk about some other stuff coming up in Act 2 about racial profiling, and we'll see you guys in a little bit after the break. All right, welcome back to Act 2 of The Other What. So we've kind of like, me and Desiree have had some incidents, and I think that is Act 1 was the incident. What we want to talk about going into Act 2 is what we're calling like the racial profiling of things. And I think white privilege is racial profiling, to be honest, too, right? You're racially profiling white people,
Yeah.
and other people are racially profiling us and putting us into categories and stereotypes. And one of the things that I like, a couple stories to share with our listeners. Me and Desiree were driving back from Savannah, and we had to go around a big accident. And so we were in the country, like I don't know where we were. And remember
Like in
you,
Gray, Georgia, driving through Gray, Georgia.
we
Yes.
were like, we are not stopping.
No.
If anybody needs to go pee, you're going to hold it until we get to a mid-size, majorish city, right? And it's because me and you, like, we have had incidents in the past stopping in these small southern towns as a person of color.
Yes.
I've had two bubbas and no offense to call them bubbas, sorry, white people, I love you, you know that, but like
She
dudes
really does.
in, like, I know, I really do. I love my uncooked meat so
You
much.
do.
But they were like in overalls in this like tiny little, like, gas station, and this was like 3 girlfriends ago back in college, and we were driving down to Savannah, and I got out, and these guys were like, they literally said to me behind, then they were like taking our money, go back to your own country.
Yeah.
And they said it straight to my face.
I
And
feel
my
like
girlfriend
white people
at the time,
forget that they're not from here either.
I mean, come on.
Okay, I'm
We're
sorry.
all
Your
fucking
girlfriend.
immigrants.
Right, your
Yes. Anyways.
girlfriend at the
And
time.
my
I
girlfriend got
apologize.
all mad, and she was going to go in and say something. I was like, no, let's just leave. I do not want to create an incident. These guys, like, even if you yell at them, they're not going to change their minds.
Yeah.
It will not help. And I think that's where it comes in, going back to Act 1 of us taking the higher road. We have to ignore it. We have to turn a blind eye. We walk away. We don't address it because it's not the right time to address it with anger. They're
Yeah.
already throwing shade at us because of fear and saying
Yeah.
stupid shit,
Yeah.
doing it like, it just doesn't make sense. Anyways,
Yeah.
that kind of, that incident, like it is one of the things like I love about, like, we're going to talk about racial profiling, and I'd love to
Yeah.
get your take on it, but like, yeah, you're right. Everybody's a fucking immigrant. Go back to your own
Yeah.
country.
That's a
Hello.
lot of us leaving. So a lot of people leaving.
By the way, I am in my own country. God damn it. I am American all the way. American.
You sure
all
you're
the
not a
way.
foreign exchange student?
Definitely not a foreign exchange student.
Oh my God, that
I
still
know I
cracks
look,
me up.
I know I look kind of Chinese, as the bus driver would say. But yes, I am kind of Chinese, but I am very American.
Oh my
But
God.
anyways, what do you think about this racial profiling thing? What are your thoughts?
So, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, racial profiling refers to this discriminatory practice by law enforcement officials of targeting individuals for suspicion of crimes based on the individual's race, ethnicity, religion, or national origin. And so that could be stop and frisk. That could be police pulling you over. I think of a time, it must have been like early 2000s. Um, yeah, I think it was early 2000s. I try to remember like which car I had to kind of help me remember the years. But my dad is a member of like a fraternal organization, not one of the black fraternities, but just like a social group.
Mm.
Um, and every year they have like this annual Christmas party. Everybody gets all dolled up, like black tie event. And at the time, my sister and I would help like work for the event. So we would like take tickets, show people where their seats are, mostly just to hang out with my parents. And because it was fun, like these folks know how to throw a party.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the event, because I got there later than my dad, I was driving back to my parents' house, kind of just listening to, I think I was listening to jazz music, driving in my car, had blasting my music as I usually do. And then I happened to notice there was a police officer driving behind me. I wasn't speeding or driving erratically, so I didn't think anything of it. And we were on like a 4-lane, so 2 lanes going in each direction. So plenty of room to go around me if you're in a hurry, sir. So we were at a stoplight, and he's got his lights on coming like behind me. I'm already stopped at this light, and he gets out of the car and taps on my window, and he says, "You need to move over. Don't you see my lights on? You need to move over." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention." And he asked me, "How long have you been in this country?" I was like, "What?"
No shit.
Yes. And he's like, "You need to pull over here off to the side." Off to the side was very dark. And I was like, "Nope." I said, "We can go up here. I'll pull over into this car lot, which is well lit." And he's like grumpy. He's like, "Fine, okay." So pull over into the lot. And then by this time, like 3 other cars from the same event that I was on all like made the U-turn to where I was, stopped, and were asking me like, "Are you okay, Desiree?" And there were people who were like prominent people in Savannah. So there were a couple of lawyers, a judge, a doctor. And so by this time, he had called for backup. It was a black woman. This was a white guy. It was a black female police officer. And I think she recognized some people. And also by this time, my dad and my mom pulled up, was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she took him to the side and basically, I think, told him like, this is not what you want. Like,
Oh my God.
you need to let her go. And when I got back to the house, like I was telling my parents what he said, they thought it was so funny. "Oh, it's so funny. That's so funny." He thinks that because nobody thinks that you're American, Desiree, or they always think you're something else. But I could just remember being like so angry about that. And then years later, because it could have gone a totally different way for me, right? I could have, because I was still pretty mouthy with him about stopping me. Like,
Mhm.
"I don't understand why you're stopping me." He's like, "I had my lights on. You're supposed to get over." I said, "Sir, you had 3 other lanes. You could have gone around me. Like, you weren't stopping me. You were going on a call. So there are plenty of other ways for him to go around to get that." And thankfully, the other officer pulled up because I think like I said, I think she recognized my dad. But it was so infuriating for me. And then back in 2015, many years later, Sandra Bland, black woman driving in Texas, was going to her new job at Prairie View A&M, got stopped because she didn't signal to change a lane. Now, I know most people don't fucking signal to change a lane.
Oh no,
She gets
Atlantans
she
don't do that.
no,
No,
she
nobody
gets,
does that.
talking to him about, "Why are you stopping me?" He's getting overly aggressive. There's a video. I think that's probably the last time I watched any video with somebody being arrested, because it was so visceral for me, because I instantly thought about my experience.
Wow.
And I was like, shit, something like this this is how my story could have ended up if I didn't have these people stop, if I didn't have that black officer stop and recognize us. And that shit is so scary.
So scary.
It's so scary.
Can I ask a question? Your
You may.
parents were like they were laughing it off. Is that what happened?
I don't think they were laughing it off in terms of like thinking I was really in trouble, but I really at the time think that they just thought it was hilarious, because I have always looked so different from everybody else. Like we've talked about this, like my family is kind of very racially ambiguous, but even within my family, I still look kind of like
Ah,
exotic,
okay.
which I kind of hate to use that word, but I look different, especially when I was younger and thinner. Like I'll have
Mm-hmm.
to show some pictures of what I look like when this story happened. So you wouldn't have known where I was. You wouldn't known if I had an accent until I opened my mouth. So I don't think that they saw it as, oh shit, you could have really been in trouble. It was more of a, oh, that's funny that would be his first thought to ask you how long have you been in this country. Because even my parents used to tease me about not being from here.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Shit. That is fucking scary, Desiree.
mm-hmm,
That is so scary. So
yeah,
I'm going to share a story again, racial profiling. It's about my
yeah.
dad. So my dad ran one of two Chinese restaurants in Covington, Georgia, way, way, way back in the day. He wore a suit and tie to work every day. And one day he goes into the Kroger to buy his staff some ice cream bars. And my dad doesn't think like things through sometimes. And he opened up 2 boxes of ice cream bars and combined the two and then took one box up to the cash register. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
Because he's like, I want a mix of things because my
mm-hmm.
dad is just how he is. And they're like, you can't do that, sir. And my dad's like, oh, I'll just buy both boxes of ice creams. No big deal. And the manager called the cops on my dad
Over some fucking ice cream.
over ice cream. They arrested him. And my dad knows all of the cops because they go to the fucking Chinese restaurant for lunch every day. And they're like, Vincent, we're going to have to arrest you. He's pressing charges. We can't do anything about this. My mom calls me. She's like freaking out. She had to go bail my dad out of jail. And I mean, he was probably in there for like 6-7 hours.
Oh my
This guy's in a
God.
suit and a tie. He was going to pay for the fucking ice creams.
Right.
So the next day, like, I guess, like, I think the whatever chief of police knew my dad too because of the Chinese restaurant thing,
Mm-hmm.
and is like, and talked the guy down to like not pressing charges. And this guy, I think that the manager at that Kroger just had it out for this Chinese man,
Oh
just
my
wanted
gosh.
to show that he is not welcome
Mm.
amongst all of these like Southern white people out in
Trying to make an
Covington, Georgia.
example out of him, so to speak.
Yes.
The
My poor
asshole.
dad. And my parents don't process things like this very well. So they have never talked to me about, he's never talked to me about being in jail for
Mm.
like almost a whole day. Like that
Mm-hmm.
must have really fucked him up.
Yeah.
And every time I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, that was racial profiling. Let's
Mm-hmm.
make an example. Like, let's pull you over because of whatever. Like, they are doing it. They'll do it just to do it. It just makes me
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I had a dean of students at Agnes Scott when I was there who got racial profiled all the time because she's a Black woman. She had big, long, well, not big, but long locks. And she drove like a Honda. And she would tell me so many stories about getting stopped in the city of Decatur or in Cobb County, right where she lived, because when they got to the car, they thought she was a Black man and thought she
Oh,
was up to no good. And then she would be like, "Here's my business card, dean of students, blah blah." And they thought she was lying.
oh my God.
Now
Oh my God.
she said it wasn't like I was speeding. She's like, I would literally just be stopped for no reason,
That's
Desiree.
crazy. So
Yeah.
I want to end the segment with a little bit of a funny story so
Oh, I
that we're
have
not
one
like
too.
totally.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So my dad got stopped by a cop once and because because he's Asian, he pretended to not be able to speak English to get out of the speeding ticket. So I think that like in some ways we can use it to our advantage instead of our disadvantage. And I kind of applaud my dad for being very he can really turn it on when it comes to like performing.
Yeah.
Like one of the, like okay, you want to call it racial profiling, whatever. Asians are Asians are Asians in Georgia. Like
Yeah.
people just don't know. And so my dad worked at a Japanese restaurant in Conyers, and he
Mm-hmm.
would do the birthday song, right? When people had a birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he would make up the fucking words. Because he does not know Japanese. He doesn't know Japanese at all. He's a Chinese man, and he would bang on a drum and make up words that sounded Japanese. And all the white people are clapping along, thinking that he's the best thing since sliced. Like it was fucking hilarious when I witnessed
Oh
it.
God.
So Thank God for our fathers.
Oh my
Sometimes they are
gosh.
so funny.
Look, my dad has a funny story of him being a kid and growing up in Savannah when it was still very segregated. And you've met my dad, he's pretty fair skinned. And he was drinking out of a colored water fountain. And this white woman runs up to him and says, "No, baby, you're drinking out of the wrong fountain." And my dad was like, "Okay, well, let me see if this water tastes any different." He's like, "Tastes the same to me, but I've just said, all right, I'll drink out of your white fountain."
Desiree, that's an amazing fucking story. I loved your dad already. Now I really love, like, heart for your dad.
Yeah.
Every heart for your dad. Oh my God, I love that man.
Yeah,
That's
he's funny.
crazy. Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
All right. Okay. So we got one more act to go, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. Thanks for listening. This is a hard episode, y'all.
We're getting through it though.
We're getting through it. All right.
Hello. Welcome back in our Act 3 of this difficult but educational episode. We're going to talk about microaggressions. And I'm going to, again, hit you with a definition, courtesy of UNC, or University of North Carolina School of Medicine. They define microaggressions as the everyday slights, insults, put downs, invalidations, and offensive behaviors that people experience in daily interactions with generally well-intended individuals who may be unaware that they have engaged in demeaning ways, also known as subtle prejudice.
Ooh, this is a big one.
So, an example of that would be like complimenting a non-English speaker on them being able to speak English.
Oh my God.
You speak English
But
so
I
well.
like the fact that it's like it says well-intentioned individuals. Like they're
Yes.
trying, but
I feel like, but are they though?
are they? I don't know. Well, maybe I tend to be like optimistic about people and that they're trying to do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, like maybe they just don't know that it's offensive, like what they're saying.
Well, and a friend of mine told me a story of she's got, I think, 2 or 3 master's degrees. Also, was a paralegal for like 20 years. Went to private schools growing up. Has a very high IQ, and she knows words. I'll just put it that way. This woman knows some words. So she was, writing an email. She worked in a law firm, so that's its own language in itself, and is writing an email and correspondence. And one of the, I believe, it was another paralegal in the office, asked her, "Why do you write like this when you don't speak like this?" And she's like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "Yeah, why do you try to use so many big words in your emails?" She's like, "Because these are words that I use." And the fact that there's a younger white woman thought that maybe I should say something or ask this question, like, that's why the well-intended in that definition throws me off, because even well-intended people should not say shit like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, my fault that your vocabulary level is not up to the level of mine. Google the word if you don't know what it means.
Is well-intentioned maybe like not educated, or not like, maybe it's more just like they're just there's something about it. Like microaggressions that I've seen also in the workplace, mostly in the workplace, to be honest. And it can be about like the bros. Like I work with a lot of tech bros, and the tech bros will do tech bro things, and they exclude you, and they don't realize they're doing it because they're just being douchey tech bros, and that's kind of what they do. I have a feeling that nobody's told them that what they're doing is not inclusive and makes other people very uncomfortable.
Right. So like when people go on golfing outings and don't invite you, or a lot of corporate folks, especially back in the 90s, I don't think it's this prominent now, but just go to strip club when you're out of town for a conference.
Right.
They're not
Right.
going to invite you
Right.
because even if they know that you're gay, they probably still won't invite you.
They want to invite you. Yeah. I've had it where like at the beginning of a meeting, we're waiting for like when we used to go to the office and we'd wait for people to go into the conference room. And these two tech bros literally jumped on top of each other like they were frat boys at like a frat party because they loved each other so much. I don't know. There was so much bro love at this company. It was crazy. And I'm just standing there going, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, this is so awkward and weird. I felt like there should have been red Solo cups like lined
Yeah.
up for like beer pong somewhere. It was not a professional environment. And I think that's there's a lot of that stuff in Silicon Valley that is just like fucked up in the way they do that.
I've also gotten well, you don't look black and you're very pretty for a black girl.
Oh shit. What?
The fuck?
What the fuck is right?
I've had a friend be told that she's really pretty for a dark-skinned black girl.
What?
Yes.
Wait, at work?
No, this was not at work. This was out somewhere.
This is out somewhere. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At work, my microaggressions are usually people, white men, who one, don't realize how old I am, so they try to talk down to me when 9 times out of 10 I'm older than them. And so they don't want to listen to me because they also don't want a woman telling them what to do. So they'll like go, I've had somebody go behind me, my back to my manager, and complain about my ask. And thankfully my manager was like, because this is what she needs in order to help you, so you need to provide this information.
That's ridiculous. The mansplaining, does mansplaining fall into microaggression, or is it just like an aggression, do you think?
Ooh, good question.
Because like I would say like mansplaining just crosses all like the gender thing. It doesn't matter if you're a person of color.
Yeah.
And I have had to stop men. I literally had a dude try to explain to me how a supply chain worked. And I was like, Bob, stop. I have been in the supply chain world for over 20 years. I know how it works. Just fix the shit that I told you to fix. I literally said that on a conference call. I was so proud of myself. And then after the call was over, there was this like junior programmer on the call. And she was like, thank you so much for saying that. He does that to everybody. And I was like, why is it on me? Again, let's go back to what we talked about in the other acts.
Yeah.
Why is it on us to have to stand up for ourselves? Right? Like it falls on us. Why don't all these other people feel empowered to also say, Bob, stop the shit. You can't do this.
Right.
And by the way, Bob was such a cowardly piece of shit. He apologized to a project manager to have the project manager apologize to me. He couldn't even apologize to my face.
My God.
Like, is this what we work in? Yeah, I guess so. And it's really fucking sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I wanted to get your take on this because we work in tech and all this kind of stuff, and we're also working remotely and hybrid, and we've done all that. I was reading an article when COVID was happening that a lot of people of color were they felt safer being on Zoom calls because there's less microaggressions than being in person. Do you think that's true?
I did see some articles about that, and oh man, I'm sure it must be true if people are saying that that's how they felt. So I didn't feel one way or the other. I realized during COVID that I like being around people more than I admit that I do. So I know that I need a hybrid environment. Now, I don't want to sit up in there with your ass 5 days a week, but I can give you 4.
Yeah. When I read that article, it really resonated with me because I think I worked in such a tech bro environment. The microaggressions for me were all about being female because I was always the only woman in the room, always the only woman on the Zoom calls. And they couldn't do the bro thing like I had just talked about because they weren't physically together. And I feel like, then this is a total generalization. Again, I love my white men. Please don't take this the wrong way. But when any dudes get together, right, they become like a pack and they kind of feed off each other and they just do all these like bro things. When they're individuals, they're really nice people and they're very respectful and they actually listen to you. but when they like, it's like a pack mentality that
Mm-hmm.
happens. And when you do that in environments where you have to be at the office all day, that's when you start feeling excluded and you
Yeah.
get to be feeling like the other, which is
Yeah.
where we started with a lot of this. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel as much of the other at work when I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing Zoom calls. I know that
Mm-hmm.
sounds weird, but and me too, I love people and I like being in the hybrid environment, but there's always that like difference. Oh, they're a lot taller than
Oh
because
yeah.
only see them on Zoom calls and like
Yeah.
the, there is a sense around that. And I don't have my finger on what it is, but it's very palpable for me when I read
Mm-hmm.
that article that I was like, yes, I actually feel better
Yeah.
as a woman of color
I've
in
had
tech.
microaggressions from white women also at work. I've worked with some VPs and even people like on my level, like a senior advisor level, where I constantly have to show up differently and reiterate my credentials because they might think, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm like, no, I
Fuck.
do. Like, I have 2 master's degrees on this. I'm doing a PhD. Like, I have 15 different certifications that say I know how to do this. And you don't know how to do it, which is why I'm here. So shut the fuck up and let me tell you what you need to do.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. Like I
Like
don't understand.
I might get asked like, well, where did you go to school or what is your degree in? When you don't ask anybody else that.
Oh my god. Wait, so it's super interesting. Like the American work culture is very weird that way. When
Mm-hmm.
I was in Korea, um, I would get introduced. So your name gets tacked on with what your job is. So
Okay.
I would be called Sharon Product Manager. That's literally like how people addressed me, which is really so. There's this hierarchy that's already built in
Mm-hmm.
to you. And so when I would go on sales calls, they would introduce me one as Sharon Product Manager, and then they would actually talk about my where I graduated from, what I
Mm-hmm.
graduated with. And because I graduated from an Ivy League school, I immediately went to the top and nobody questioned me. It
Right.
was working in Asia is fucked up and crazy, but wow, that part of it to not have to fight
Mm-hmm.
people to say I know what I'm doing was actually it was a breath of fresh air, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
to be recognized for the work and for the degrees and the education you had, because they they kind of idolize that in a way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Going to an American university is a big fucking deal kind of thing. But all the other things are just effed up, and I wouldn't want to work there again, which is why I came back. But that just makes no sense on why like the American work culture is so blind
Yeah.
to, like, is it an ego thing? Is it like I want to push other people down to make myself better or
I
feel
think it's a
better?
lot of that. I think
Ugh,
it's a lot of that.
it goes to
At least in corporate
self-confidence.
America, it feels that way. Yeah,
It's really sad.
it is.
Anyways, I don't know. I'm gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
Because oh my god, I'm like getting all
Your
like
head's
there's a lot of
exploding.
anger to process, and I think
Yeah.
that as women and as women of color, we hold this anger, and it will always just be with us, right?
Yeah.
And I am grateful for the safety that I have with my friends. I am scared about the unsafe places that we have to go through. And it's kind of this additional weight that me and you carry with
Mm-hmm.
us as we like go to work or go to the store or walk the dog in the neighborhood or
Yeah.
whatever. And it sucks.
It
It kind of
does.
blows.
It does.
Bleh.
Oh no.
But
Well, that's our show.
sorry, guys, not as fun. Hopefully, the next episodes will be more fun. But I think this is important. Thank you for
It
talking to me
is.
about it and
Of
sharing your
course.
stories. Those are some
Yeah.
crazy
Thank you for
stories.
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you for listening.
Yes, be sure to check out our website at theotherwhat.com. Follow us on social media on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at The Other What. We've also got merch. You can get a cool hat like this in several different colors. And we will see you on the next one.
Yep. See you guys
Bye.
later.
Love
Bye.
ya.
Thanks for listening to the Other What podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. It really helps us grow. This episode was hosted by Sharon Bell and Desiree Jamerson and produced by Andrew Marconi. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Instagram at The Other What and tell us your show ideas, comments, and suggestions. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, all of the podcasting platforms, and our website, theotherwhat.com, where you can listen to all our episodes, check out show notes, and shop for merch that supports the show. The Other What is proudly brought to you by 559 Labs. We'll see you next time.